welcome to Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald, with Steve Goodwin. As always, how are you, Steve?
I'm very well, my friend, very well.
Excellent. Occasional guest every now and then, Mr. Josh Goodwin. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while.
Undefeated pro boxer, boxing promoter, financial advisor. We're going to come on to all these things. And Jack Hughes.
Right, mate.
How you doing, Jack?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. What you got going on in the background there?
Ricky Hatton. I got loads of stuff. I've got Ricky Hatton, got some MGK things here, MGK over there. I've got
MGK being Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, Machine Gun Kelly, right. Yeah.
There you go. I vaguely know my rap music. Not just an old man. And we're going to come on to Jack and where you are with your career, what the plans are. And how you go about promoting yourself, because I find yours quite interesting. So we're going to hit on all these things. We're going to start the week though, and hand over to you, Steve. So you've got obviously one of Goodwin Boxing's top names, top title holders, going out on DAZN Friday night, out to Spain. Well, I know he's out there on the plane this afternoon. K Prosper fighting for the EBU title, so proper European title. Big ask,
but at the end of the day, I spoke to Kay last night about sort of 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I mean, he's going out there, he's had perfect preparation. He's going up levels above what he's ever fought before. He knows that. But you know, the point is, what can we do as a manager of a fighter? We can help them guide their career and deliver them the fight that can break down all the doors. And this is the fight for Kay that breaks down all the doors. Now, we can't fight for our fighters, but we can help them and do what we can. And he's done everything asked of him since his loss to Rakeem Noble for the Southern area. And now he's got the fight that can break down doors, get him a world ranking and get him involved in some mega fights. And yes, it's not an easy fight, and the bookies have got him as a 7-8 to 1 underdog. But at the end of the day, he deserves to be there. He's, the favourites don't win every time. And Kay is, he deserves this opportunity, and he's so determined. He knows what this is, but nobody's going to go over there and go and say his favourite has got an easy opportunity, but he goes there with a fighting chance. And Sandor Martin is a really good quality operator, but he's not a world champion. Let's be realistic. He beat Joe Hughes, and Joe Hughes is a good operator, British level, and he did beat Joe quite comfortably. So Kay would have to produce a performance worthy of a British champion to win, at least to win. But he's got that opportunity to do that. I doubt he's going to win on points. He knows he'd have to stop him to win. He knows what we're up against. But we're in a pandemic. Kay's 36 years of age, and he wants the big fight, and he's been wanting the big fight, and he's now got that big fight. So hats off to him. Wish him and all the people over there the very best. John Cole's doing over there wrapping his hand, so he couldn't have a better person for hand wrapping. He's got Xavier, his trainers, with him. Everything that's possible they've done. And let's just hope he can bring it back on Friday night.
So what we know about Sandor Martin, I mean, he's not a huge puncher or a renowned puncher, is he? Kind of 1 in 3 stoppages.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the Joe Hughes fight, we probably know him best for over here.
Yeah.
How much research, how much kind of looking into it do you think Kay and Xavier and the team have been able to do?
I mean, Xavier's a good tactician. He'd have looked into to them, but he's lost 2 fights. He lost an 8-rounder in Barcelona. He got beaten by Anthony Yigit. Although he did lose by 4 points in Sweden, it was a bit closer than that. So we're talking about a fighter here who has mixed at world level. But you're not going to win a real European title by gifting. I mean, you win these IBO, IBF into European titles. I mean, they can be contrived, but this is a real deal. So if Kay wins it, he's going to get himself established. I mean, Sandor Martin, independently, I'm just looking, he's ranked 27 in the world by BoxRec. So we're talking about a real top level fighter, just below, the elite world level. So, he's good. You're not going to get a gimme, but Kay's there. He deserves his shot. And listen, you know that many 8-1 shots have won many times before. So
Yeah,
he's got a chance. He's not 100-1 outsider. He's an 8-1 outsider, not 100-1 outsider.
you said you see his best, maybe only opportunity of winning come in by way of stoppage. Again, is that something you've kind of spoken with Kay about in terms of, obviously you're not the one there planning the fight, that's Xavier, that's John Cole helping out, but in terms of his mindset.
He's not winning a close decision, that's for sure. And Sandor Martin has never been stopped, and I don't think he's ever been dropped, and that's 39 fights. So it's not going to be, it's not going to be easy to stop him. It's only going to be by applied pressure. So, Kay isn't going to win a close points decision in Spain. There's not in Barcelona. It's not going to happen. So he knows he's got to win so wide or stop him. And, we know that. And that's a disadvantage. And Sandor Martin is a Matchroom signed fighter. He's their Spanish flagship fighter for Matchroom. So, you've got 3 Brits out there this weekend. You've got Gavin. It's a really good card. I'm really looking forward to it on Friday. You've got Gavin McDonnell challenging for the European title. And you've got Jez Smith fighting Kerman Laraja. And, they're good fights, but they're trying to get the British public to buy into this zone. So that's why they're putting the Brits out there. Do Matchroom want any of those Brits to win? Probably not. Probably not. They want the Spanish to win and move on, I would imagine. But there's some good fights. Gavin McDonnell has a realistic chance of picking up the European title, I think. Jez Smith's up against it, but, he's got some preparation, so he might, he'll put up a good fight, and I think it's a good card. And Kay has got every chance of causing an upset, but in reality, he's got how many Southern Area people that have lost for a Southern Area title end up fighting for a European title?
Yeah.
I haven't done the research, but I don't know any that I know to hand, but we'll see.
Yeah, and you say about Matchroom don't necessarily want the Brits to win. That's not to say that's confirmed, but it's probably a bit of a hunch, given they've got this kind of global system going on. And Hearn kind of alluded to it over the weekend, didn't he? Where over in America was that winner stays on mentality. And a couple, Otha Jones III, he lost at the weekend. But the guy he lost to, he said, that opens up opportunities for him in other territories. So should Kay win, it opens up opportunities over here for Kay, presumably on a DAZN show that will be broadcast all over the world on Sky Sports over here. But it opens up that network of opportunities for him.
Exactly that. And that's what a win does. I mean, even if he lost the disputed points decision, let's say he got robbed or something like that happened, that still opens up opportunities as well. But, so it gets him out there and gets him publicity. So, it's very performance, because there's always a chance over there that you get robbed.
Yeah. Jack, have you boxed on a card with Kay?
Yeah, I think I boxed on one of the ones where he drew for the English title.
Oh, the Sam Amazon first one. Did you share a changing room with him?
No, I didn't share a changing room with him. I've met him a couple of times, but yeah, like he is a good fighter, so I hope he does the job.
Are you going to be tuned in?
Probably. I'll probably tune in and watch it.
Josh, what do you reckon?
It's a big ask. Kay, he has the power to stop most people. I think when you see him live, you can hear how hard he really hits. But he can do it. I think he's got great training. Xavier's a good tactician. I think Xavier's done a good job with Dylan White since he's been there. I know they lost the first fight together, but it was a bit more of a fluky punch, I think. But yeah, I fully support him. I think he's got a good chance of doing it. I think the 8-1 odds are a bit harsh, and I think it's a bit closer than that, but he's an outsider. But yeah, he's got a chance.
You say about the tactician element of Xavier, and I remember the first fight. Was it the Reese fight? Nathan Reese?
Yeah,
That was the first one that Xavier took K
I think
for.
so.
Wasn't it? And K came out as a southpaw in the first round.
Yeah, K's talent is talent. Yes, he can box both. And he box well southpaw, as you remember.
Yeah.
I say with Xavier, he's a proper studier of the game. He'll watch fights like from the 80s, 70s, 90s. Look at what they done, how they done it. Like you're going to his gym, and he'll be sitting in his office just watching random fights from the 70s. He's one of those types.
I remember chatting with Xavier straight after that in York Hall in the reception bit, and it was his first fight with Kay. And I remember saying to him, I had to rack my brains and just remember that Kay was an orthodox fighter, not a southpaw. After seeing that, I was like, he looked so natural doing it. Xavier was saying the way that he boxed in the gym, he gave him recollections of a fighter from the past who was a right-handed southpaw, and he was able to apply those learnings into Kay. So maybe we'll see that Friday night.
Hopefully.
What we have done, if you notice, we've kept all the videos off the internet of Kay being a southpaw. There's nothing on there. So, yeah, we've never put any of them up because we waited for the big fight, and we've never put a fight of his up on the internet. So now they're going to be expecting an orthodox fighter, aren't they? So on Friday.
All right. So delete the last 2 minutes of this video.
No, they're not going to be watching this, are they? So yeah.
No, Ring Talk's a big program, Steve.
It's massive in Spain. It's got
Exactly.
It's part of the new Super League. We're going to be founding members.
Touchy subject.
Steve, you're going to abandon Arsenal if they go in the Super League. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll never go to an Arsenal game ever again. Never. It's done. Because I'm not. I've sort of fallen a bit out of love with football because I think that football has become a lot more. It's not like it used to be. When I know I'm old, but when I used to go, all the players were homegrown. It was all more of a camaraderie thing, and it's moved to a commercial venture. But basically, it's just becoming franchise sport now. The fans don't really matter anymore. So I think if they go into that, I'm 100% sure I'm done. I will not go again. That's me.
You're not going to go now that Arsenal is shit.
You've reached it for a long time.
I'm not interested if you go into that. That to me is the end of football. I wouldn't be interested.
To be fair, at least the last few years, I realised what it's like to be a Tottenham fan, Martin.
Hey, we finished above you the last 3 years.
Exactly.
We know what it's like.
We got a major trophy.
Yeah.
Not in my lifetime.
All right, just wait until Sunday.
That's not a major trophy. That's the Disney League Cup.
Kick Man City out. Kick them out. I read today Jose Mourinho might be the only European Super League manager to have ever been sacked. That'd be amazing.
He does not hold back, does he?
No. Back to K Prosper then. Friday night, DAZN over here in the UK, isn't it? So it's a streaming only app, £2 a month, for which you'll also get Canelo, Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
And you can do it through a Fire Stick. You can do it on your phone. You can do it through a smart TV. £2 a month. Get on it. Watch K. Go out there. Fingers crossed. Comes back with a European title.
It's a good night of boxing on Friday. It really is a good card. 3 British fighters out there. It's a great card to watch on Friday. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And so best of luck to Kay, to Xavier, to John, to all the team that have gone out there. And yeah, just fingers crossed they come back with that belt.
Exactly.
And then Laharaja versus Jez Smith. That's a strange one, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Laharaja seemed to spend about 2 years just bashing Brits up.
I'm all right, thanks. I'm doing my interview.
Starting with.
The thing about Laharaja, we were offered that fight for one of our fighters. I'm not going to go into it, but we were offered that fight, but the money was rubbish. Right. So we didn't want it. I'm not going over to Spain for a non-title fight for rubbish money. And that was really bad money. The original offer for that. So we didn't. We didn't go.
Talking of money, before we go on from Goodwin boxing news, the purse bids came out for Linus Udofia, Danny Dignam last week.
They pulled out last minute. Yeah.
Danny Dignam pulled out last minute. It's disappointing, isn't it, when fighters wait until the purse bid to pull out?
I didn't know. We were waiting for the results of the bid. We didn't even know he'd pulled out, and then we called the board the next day, and they find out he's just pulled out. But why didn't he? If he really didn't want the fight, why not pull out 2 weeks, 3 weeks before? It's a piss take, total piss take, because you allow people to move on and arrange new fights and arrange new things. But they've been chasing the fight. We says, yeah, we want the fight, but we want it on equal playing terms. If they win the bid, we're doing the fight. But all of a sudden, want the fight, then don't want the fight. And then
yeah, and I get he had the Sorokin fight Friday night or Saturday night, and that's fine. But that was known about months in advance. Why leave the purse bid until the last minute and then pull out? I don't get it.
But if that's the way, I know that. But if that's the way it has to be, if people want to do that, when it goes on the other foot, we'll do the same. If that's the way you want to be, then it's got to be the other way as well. If people are going to do that, then expect that it'll be the same in the reverse.
Yeah. Any other Goodwin boxing news that I've missed out on?
Not at the moment. We're still busy signing really good talent, which we've not really come out with, but we're still signing some really, really exciting boxers. But it's very hard at the moment because we're working on a. There is some news, but I can't. We're working on an outdoor event potentially this year. Not too far from you.
Not too far from me.
Not too far. Within 20 minutes, half an hour. I'm going to do a venue inspection on Saturday.
Right. Text me the details. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but I'll know on Saturday when I go. But yeah, you can come if you want. But yeah, we've got we're going to have a look at something with a potential of staging an outdoor event, because I think for two reasons. Number one, we may not, in case we can't run an indoor event at York Hall, it will give some fighters an opportunity to still box. So we're having a look at it, and we'll look at the costings and the mechanics of it. But if it's possible, we're going to keep that as a reserve potentially to run in probably back end of August, early September.
Is that a ready-made venue or one that you would have to provide seats and things for?
Yeah. We'll have to provide, but we may do it slightly different. I've got a bit of a different idea for how to do it. So we're going to look at it at the weekend, but it looks like they're very keen to do it. And we've got a good headline fight to go on already. So, yeah, it's something we're looking at.
I've got a place in Milton Keynes you could run one.
You're going to say something really daft here, aren't you?
No, I don't. My old man is the president of the rugby club here. There's, yeah.
Okay.
They've got a bar there at the place, changing rooms, big fields.
Well, that becomes another option as well then.
I'll text you the details. I'll give you a ring after.
You can give me off. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
I'll get you preferential rates on it as well. It's
we want that rate, Martin, 0.
Yeah, well, genuinely, it's a decent venue.
Okay, and he reckons we might be able to use it. You reckon we might be able to use it?
I've never asked him, but
possible.
I've got contact details.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a serious look at that.
Yeah, no, it's especially in August time because it'll be off season for rugby.
Exactly. Oh, let's have a proper look at that. Definitely.
All right, we'll have a look. Right. Anyway, moving on. Now that I've negotiated a venue for. Right, let's go to Jack.
How do you fancy fighting outdoors, Jack?
Yeah, I'll fight anywhere, mate. You know me, Steve.
I was going to say, I reckon you're at the point now, Jack, where you'll fight anyone, anywhere.
Yeah, well, I've always been like that. If you remember when, I can't remember what it was, but I went on a podcast with you after I had my first defeat, and I was talking about doing a fight cup, and I was like, yeah, throw Sonny Edwards in there, Prince Patel. Like, I've always had that mentality where I will fight anyone, and like Steve knows it because I've asked him for these fights countless of times, and he's always holding me back. So I always fight anyone.
You're not. I can say now, there's no time to. That was in the pub. Now it's different. Now you go now.
Yeah.
The brakes are let off.
So let's roll back. Your last fight was 2 years ago, coming up. Was it June 19?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So that was Slavchev, am I right?
Yeah.
So when you fought then, what were your plans after that fight? So if we go back to June 19, were you kind of eyeing up titles? Were you planning on a break? What was the idea?
Yeah, well, I think the Ricky Little fight was always there, and I think that fight, I don't know if it was before or after the fight. The show got pulled off twice, and then after that, I was just like, yeah, this is just not what I want to do anymore, and I retired in 2020.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always the plan to just push for titles after that, get the Southern area, then the English, and so on and so forth.
So the Ricky Little fight you mentioned, that was the one prior to the Slachev fight. What a fight that was. That was,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like, I'm not an expert nor always, the hugest fan of kind of the smaller weights of boxing. That's just my nature. That fight made me a fan of the smaller weights. That was something else that night. Like, you lost it on points, but you must have made some new fans that night, I suspect, myself included. I've followed your career from your debut pretty much, but that was something else that night.
Yeah. Do you know what? People to this day, like, that happened in 2018 now, and to this day, people still talk to me about that fight. And my friend Ryan, I didn't know him, and he had his I didn't know him back then, and he had his interview with the board in like 2020, and the promoter Mo Pryor was talking about that fight then, and obviously now we're good friends, and he was like, I didn't even know he was talking about you, like that. And that just shows how good that fight was, that people still 3 years later are still talking about what a fight it was.
What are your memories of it?
Well, I remember getting a standing ovation at the end of it, which was, that was a real buzz. I just remember going to war, and I remember just literally having nothing left after the 6th round. And I remember telling Brian in the corner, I was like, I've got nothing left. And he was just like, it's just time to dig deep. And that's what I did. I dug deep for the next 4 rounds and just slugged it out with him. Like, we went toe to toe from round 1 to round 10.
Did you feel like he had nothing left as well?
Well, there was times in the corner, and Barry was looking over, and he was saying, he's blowing. But I think when he could see that, like, after the 6th round onwards, like, my fitness just declined massively, I think it gave him a big confidence boost, and he got his second wind, and then he just started piling on.
So you called for the rematch after that, didn't you? It never came about, and then we've had a pandemic, as you say. You went into retirement. Are you now back, like, as much as boxing when it comes back? Are you back with it?
Oh, 100%. Now, I'm training in Essex now, so that's an hour and a half journey for me. So I'm taking 3 hours out of my day every day and going to Essex, training for 3 hours, and then making my way back home to even sometimes go and do a run and do a sprint. So I'm 100% back in this now.
So why Essex?
Well, I just think Kieran Duffy, who's my coach now, is just an incredible trainer. The gym's incredible. There's loads of incredible figures in the gym. I'm training with Casey Kadimi, who was ranked in the top 15 by the WBO. Razor Ali, who's a top prospect coming up. Sofian, who fought Josh Warrington for the world title. I'm just around, I'm around greatness, and that's what I've always kind of wanted to be around. So yeah, it was just a place. It was just meant to be for me to end up there. So yeah, I want to train with the best.
How did you end up there? An hour and a half from where you're based?
So I was training back at State of Mind, and I contacted Casey for sparring, and I went up there, traveled down on my own, and I was obviously I sparred Casey, and I wasn't fit at the time, but I gave like a real good account of myself. And Kieran spoke to me after, and he was like, mate, he's like, I'm so impressed. He was like, you come down here on your own to, like, all the way from Wembley, and he was like, you sparred a top lad, and you weren't even fit, and you just, like, put it all over him, and basically. And then a couple weeks later, me and Adam had a chat, and we just decided that it was best for us to part ways. And then I put it on my social media saying that I needed a new coach. And John, who's the other coach down there, got in contact with me and gave me Kieran's number and said, Kieran really wants to work with you. So then I called Kieran the next day, and he was like, mate, I'd love to have you down the gym, just because the heart and determination you showed. He's like, I think I can do really good things with you. And so yeah, that's how it all it's all come about.
Is that important to you then, to have that self-belief out of the coach? I say self-belief, the belief out of the coach. You know, somebody that wants you there, wants to nurture you and bring the best out.
Yeah, it's so important to have, like, because I really believe in myself. I really believe that I can win stuff, but I've just never had someone to really, you know, like, be a real figure in my corner and really like motivate me and push me to places that I believe that I can go. So now that I have Kieran, and you know, like, I'm with him every day and we're training all the time, and he's putting a like 100% effort in with me, it just makes such a big difference. And I really believe that I can push on and do good things now.
And what weight are you looking at coming back at then? Because you're a couple of years on from the last fight, a couple of years older, that kind of potentially adds bone weight and mass and stuff to you. Are you coming back the same weight you were last at?
Yeah, I think we're actually planning on maybe even going down to flyweight, or even maybe light flyweight. But yeah, like any weight, super fly, or light fly, we're looking to come back at one of them three.
So with the, you know, the pool of fighters around those weights, you know, depending which one you come back at, kind of southern area through to British, there aren't that many lads around that weight, are there? So presumably you've got eyes on fast tracking your way through, you know, hopefully the titles, all being well, with wins.
Yeah, like, literally I could have one comeback fight, and I could be straight in for a southern area, especially like with my record and the fact that the Ricky Little fight is always going to be there. Like, so one or two wins and I'll be looking to go straight into titles again.
Steve, where do you move Jack, and how quickly?
It's dependent on who's got what and who's available. I think I'm not so worried about the weight. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about where the opportunities exist, and we'll go wherever the opportunities are. If there's an English title at a certain weight and we can make that happen, we'll go for that. We don't actually have to necessarily go for the southern area first.
So you could bypass that, and depending, I don't know who holds kind of English titles around those weights. Are they held?
We're a bit of a way around. I mean, I haven't looked yet because we'll look at that when we come back. But more, if we can do all the weights, we can just move in and out. Why can't we? We can win one weight at one time, go to another weight, move up. I mean, you can navigate so easily when you've got the flexibility of the weights. So
how much then will the weights that Jack can make it down or up to dictate the fight opportunities are going to come? And Jack, how easy are you with being told, put on a few pounds for 3 months' time, we'll take a couple off?
I mean, so in answer to that, the Ricky Little fight was a joke because they kept putting the fight off. We had a contract with Mo Pryor, and they kept postponing the fight. And that's nonsense for a boxer to have to tolerate that sort of stuff, because you can't just keep getting ready and having fights cancelled on you. And in the end, Jack got disillusioned with it because of it. And, you know, that's the point. So I'm not really interested in Jack fighting on that, doing that again, because of the prevalence of the person cancelling shows. We need, if we're going to take a fight and we're going to agree to fight, that person better damn put the bloody show on rather than cancel it on my fighter. And that's what was happening. It's nonsense. It's just bullshit. And, you know, if you're going to do it and you're going to lose a few quid, put the bloody show on. Don't talk a good game, deliver a good game. And Jack disillusioned him with the sport. It's unfair to him. Can't put up with that shit again.
And was that what drove you out of the sport then, Jack? All those delays, hold-ups?
I mean, there was a lot behind it. Like for the first 2.5 years of my career with the team I was with at the time, I just don't really think I was treated very fairly. And then I moved on, and like I was always kind of a bit like, you know, at that time when I was in my new gym. And then obviously when the Ricky Little fight was happening, that was for me, I was like, yeah, like this is it, last big push. And then it got cancelled, as Steve said, and then put it back on, and they cancelled it again, put it back on. And then it was like the third time around, when I was training, I was just like, yeah, I was just like, I don't want to do this no more. And then that was when I made the decision to just basically pack it in after that. So it was a part of it, but there was a lot more to it than just that fight getting cancelled and so on.
It doesn't help if at the time you were fragile in the sport, right?
Yeah.
So if you're fragile and that happens to you because you've got issues, it just knocks you out of it. If the fight had happened, you'd have fought, and I think you'd have won. You'd have won. So it would have been a totally different thing. You'd have had this lift up that would have lifted your life up, and also the boxing, because winning the Southern Area would have been massive.
Yeah.
So indirectly, that doing that to boxers does create issues, and you've got to remember when you're fighting, and I speak to a lot of boxers have, I'm not going to use mental health, but it's mentally a very, very tough sport. And if you think like that happens to you, it's not stable for you, and people shouldn't do it. We've never done it, so I don't expect other people to do it. But then you don't want to fight on their shows again, do you? Or you don't want to. Yeah. Someone's ringing me up and offering me, we'll stage a fight with Jack Hughes against Ricky Little, and I think they're going to cancel it on him again, and we're not interested. Not interested.
So let's go back. We mentioned earlier about your marketing of yourself, Jack, and how you go about doing it. Your video that you put out where you were sat down, was it probably about 3 or 4 months back?
Yeah.
Where you
what? Sorry, what one?
The one where you called out. Who was it you called out? You sat down.
Oh, wow. Prince Brady, was it?
That was the one. Yeah, like how much do you put into the kind of thought process behind how you're marketing yourself, how you're looking for these fights?
I don't really put any thought to it. Like, I just kind of like, if an idea pops into my head, I'll just do it. Like I'm very like I act on my emotions a lot, and like I am a very weird character, and like, I like a lot of weird things. So I just be myself, really, and like it just turns out that me generally I'm quite an entertaining person, so it just comes across entertaining. Like I don't like to be fake, so like everything you see me do, like it's just me, and like so I just got lucky, I guess, that I'm quite an entertaining person.
So is that everything from the pink shorts to the, you know, covered in tattoos and Machine Gun Kelly references, all of it?
Yeah, exactly. Like this is the kind of thing that I grew up on, this kind of stuff, like, you know, like the whole punk image. Like I grew up on that, and like so I was watching them from a young age, and they was like painting their nails, like and doing weird stuff, and then I just got into that, and everyone kind of goes through that stage, but I just never grew out of it. So I was so yeah. That's just why I am the way I am. Like, I'm just a big kid at heart, and I just do lots of weird things, and it's just me. It's not fake. Like it's just who I am.
No, I mean it's a bit like Josh. He paints his nails regularly.
Exactly.
So Jack, then when boxing's back, what's your intention? Do you want to be the first one out? Do you want to be, you know, like, as soon as shows are available, you want to be boxing, or do you want a bit of like lead time to get yourself ready?
Steve can tell you, I've been keeping on and him and Kevin all the time, just like, you know, like this show, put me on it if it goes ahead. This show, put me on it if it goes ahead. I want to go straight out. Like I've had long enough out now. It's almost like 2 years, and I'm training all the time. Like my gym's open, I'm training. My weight's decent, like it's really good actually. So I'll be, as soon as the shows come around, I'll be ready to go.
Would you say, for instance, one of the names around the kind of TV scene? I'm not going to count Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards is kind of doing his own thing at a higher level. Say, for instance, Prince Patel, Commonwealth title. If you got the phone call saying, 8 weeks notice, is that a fight that you would jump at, or would you want something that's a bit of an easier return given the 2-year absence?
No, 100. I'd jump at it straight away, 100%. Like, do you know, like all that ring rust? I really don't believe in it. Like, I just think that you have your time in if you've been out for a while, you come back, you spar, and you get used to it, and your muscle memory starts to build up again, and so on. So, yeah, I've been out for a while, but I've been in the gym and I've been learning. So, yeah, I don't believe in ring rust, and I would take it in a heartbeat if it come around.
Yeah. So, Steve, what's it like with Jack, managing Jack, working with Jack? As he says himself, he's his own character, he's his own person.
Good as gold. It's great. No problems. He just wants to fight. He doesn't have any expectations beyond what you would expect. And yet, I mean, I've had to rein him back early on because he had very little experience before he turned pro. So we had to keep back. But he's now done enough, and he's got enough. He's had enough experience now, and especially with his training now, we've got to see how good he can really be now. The brakes are off, and it's time to go. If he wants one warm up back, that's entirely up to him. But I don't see.
I like the fact you said you don't believe in ring rust, because I'm kind of. Don't get me wrong. I know it's different being in the gym, sparring, headgear, bigger gloves, etc., etc. But there is a part of me that thinks, come on, man, we're all in the same boat. You're all in the same boat. None of you have fought in however long. I like that attitude that you just want to get straight back in.
Yeah, I've always had that attitude, man. And like my belief, like from when I first turned over to now, is just skyrocketing. And I really think people are going to be very, very shocked when I come back, because I've really taken the time out to work on myself and think of things and what I want to do, and the people who I'm around now. Like if I take you right back to the beginning of my career, as Steve said, I had 10 fights as an amateur. I was really, really inexperienced, and I was training with Barry, and loads of people were coming up to Barry and they were saying, "Oh, don't train Jack, because if you train Jack, people will look at you and think you'll train anyone." And I've come to someone that was looked at really shit, to be honest, and now I'm training with high level pros, and I've got trainers approaching me, like top trainers approaching me and telling me that they want to work with me. So my confidence is going through the roof, and I'm sparring world class or fringe world class fighters, and sometimes I'm getting the best of them, and these fighters are sometimes they're like featherweights, and that's like 4 weights above me, and the thing with me, I'm incredibly tough. I've got an amazing chin, as I've proved in the Ricky Little fight, and I'm incredibly strong for my weight. And for all the years, I've kind of been fighting a style that wasn't suited to how I should have been fighting, and now I've kind of like mastered how to use my strengths in the ring. So yeah, man, I'm raring to go, and this time around it's going to be so different to what it was before.
So what are those changes? Like, what will people see that's different? As you said, I suppose you kind of mentioned it and alluded to it earlier. The strengths, your chin, your strength, maybe the weaknesses being the engine after the 6th round in that Ricky Little fight. But that gave you the opportunity to show and display that chin and that toughness, and that durability. So what are people going to see that's different next time round?
They're going to see a much more, like, I've worked on my boxing a lot, and I've worked on a lot of things. Like, I've mastered the inside game. Well, I don't want to say I've mastered it, but I'm a very, very good inside fighter now. And I was fighting on the back foot a lot. And as I said, I'm incredibly strong. So why I was fighting on the back foot in the first place is kind of a mystery. So you're going to see a very aggressive, come forward, strong flyweight this time. And I guarantee you, my first fight, I'm stopping the guy this time around.
I like it. Are you then going to jump on the ropes?
Yeah, but this time I won't fall off this time.
That was amazing. Excellent, man. So hopefully, we'll see you September, October. I'm guessing whenever Steve gets a schedule fully up and running, you're going to be one of the first names in his phone book trying to get on there. I'm guessing.
I hope so, mate. Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep people informed because I look forward to it. I say that Ricky Little fight changed my perception of in-person smaller weight boxing. It was amazing.
Thank you, mate.
Let's come on to Josh. How you doing, Josh?
Not bad.
So fill us in, Josh, on everything that's been going on in your life over the pandemic, because since you were probably last on it, you've become a financial advisor, qualified. Congratulations.
Qualified, passed all the exams now. Been a longer process than it would. The pandemic put me back a good 9 months, 12 months maybe, because at first they'd laid all the exams, then you couldn't get into the exams, they were so busy. So that's definitely put me back, but it doesn't matter, got there in the end. So all done, dusted, ready to go.
A small setback from major comeback.
That's what I meant to put it. So if you need more, see me.
So what does that mean then? Like, are you now as qualified as your old man?
Yeah. He's got one more exam than me. He can do equity to release, which I currently can't do, but I'm going to do that probably in the next couple of months.
So presumably this means then that in terms of financial advising, as much as you're qualified to do everything your dad can do, you're not experienced enough to do everything your dad can do.
Yeah, so I'm still learning. So I sit in all his meetings and stuff like that. So it'll take a while because, as everyone knows, when it comes to investment, tax planning, inheritance tax planning, buy-to-let properties, that sort of stuff, it can be quite complicated. So you're still learning. You learn the basics, and obviously you have to learn a lot of rubbish with exams, but I'm nearly there.
So have you still got more exams to do?
Just if I want to advise on equity release, that's the exam I've got to do.
All right. So what are you working on at present then? What's a day in the life of Josh Goodwin now with financial advising as opposed to boxing at present?
Oh, you see that chair behind my dad's shoulder?
Yep.
That's what I currently sit on for many hours a day, doing work next to him and learning, sitting in meetings.
I see. So you don't necessarily do the hands-on side of it?
I am, yeah, I'm still doing I'm doing the paperwork side. I've started the process of doing some bits with friends and family friends and their stuff, like, so it's just getting the ball rolling really. But I'm still, as I said, still learning because the paperwork side in financial services is ridiculous. It's like you do one meeting, it could take you 4 or 5 hours just to do the paperwork, sometimes longer.
I see. What are the overlaps with boxing?
None.
Paperwork.
Quite a well-regulated business.
What, boxing?
No, financial compared to it. As I'm saying, there's no.
There's no overlap there.
No. I can't think of any, to be honest. There's no one really trying to stab you in the back constantly. No arguing with people over 20 quid.
No.
Quite nice, really.
Which do you prefer?
I would say, in terms of the boxing, my most enjoyable part is running the events on the day. Like, the lead up to it isn't the most enjoyable. It's actually the day running the events, like troubleshooting problems. But day to day, I say I prefer the financial, definitely.
But do you miss that buzz at the moment of the day of the event, the day of watching Jack go and glove up in the back? And
yes, I miss the day of the events where they said, like, watching people you've been watching years win their first titles, or be people doing their debuts. I like dealing with the problems, to be honest. That's the enjoyable part for me.
So you're still going to be deeply involved in the boxing when it comes back, presumably? Yeah,
if we can still hopefully get shows on in my shows, I can get shows on going under my banner again, that'd be nice. But obviously we're still in the middle of the pandemic, aren't we? So God knows how long and when it's going to be.
So when it comes back, your role will be what, promoter still?
Promoter, yeah.
Cool. Have you, like, how much has the pandemic meant in terms of time that you could think of different promotional strategies or ways of selling kind of yourself and Goodwin Boxing?
Oh, I've taken more of a back seat since the pandemic, to be honest. You're very limited. There's only so many times you can put up different posts. It's just for a small promoter to keep promoting yourself is nigh on impossible because there's nothing to promote.
Yeah.
There's so many times you can put a video of Jack Hughes hitting the bag or the ring talks once a week. It's just very limited. It's really hard.
I know. I've got to sit here every week. Very hard work.
That's why we're talking about financial services and football, haven't we? That's why we're trying to pad the program today.
I'm going to start doing a weekly financial podcast on it.
I reckon we could get some big hits because a good-looking person in financial services just doesn't happen that often. So
It still hasn't, as far as I'm aware.
Hello.
So how much more do you think you've got to do before you branch out yourself more and more?
I reckon September, October, I'll be pretty, because under the FCA, you have to be supervised for the first few months anyway. That's the regulations you have to follow. But I imagine that should hopefully be October time, hopefully, maybe.
And then are you going to set up on your own, or are you?
So I'm going to, obviously, Dad's always been my boss, always worked for Goodwin Financial. Then I'll just build up my own client base, which I started to do already, like getting a few people on board, but then I start to try and really expand it.
And presumably then with the intention that, Steve, you can walk away in the future, leave it all in good hands.
Yeah, I'll kick him out.
We've got within the firm now, we've got, obviously, I'm really, really busy. And then we've got Amy, who's working as a mortgage advisor. We've got Josh, who's now qualified, and we've got Kevin, who's starting the exams off. So I would hope that in 3 years, I mean, the business is booming, but we're doing a lot of business. It's quite interesting with a lot of people from boxing as well now, lots from boxing and from stuff we've done are coming on board. So it's really, really expanding. But for me, it's going to be a case of, I mean, I still will do what I do, but, you know, I won't be able to work to the intensity I'm working now going forward. And but at the moment, this is when the boxing comes back, I won't be able to do as much at the forefront of the boxing as I was doing because I just won't have the time. So, but yeah, it's going to be, as time goes on, and once Josh gets qualified, I'll be able to do a little bit less. He'll be able to take over some of the clients that I have.
A bit like Barry Hearn, he stepped away today, hasn't he, from Metro?
That's the sort of same thing, really. In reality, that's the sort of the structure that we'll have. Yeah, that's what'll happen. That's what'll happen.
Yeah, which is what you've got in place for the boxing, isn't it? Ultimately, is yourself kind of headlining it, and then Kev and Josh and Alan and others kind of involved.
Yeah, I mean, in the end of the day, I want, life. Life is for enjoying, and there will be times when I don't want to work as hard as I work at the moment, but I love what I do. So it's at the moment, it's not. I'm never working. I'm just doing bits every day. So I don't ever feel like I'm working. Sounds crazy. Sometimes you just get tired from too much work, but you can't. There's only a physical amount of time you can do. You've only got so many hours in the day. So you just I've just got to be smarter at the moment because I'm taking a much bigger workload on, whilst you've got more people on the financial side who are going to be doing the stuff. So we're expanding massively. We're 57% up in the last 12 months of business, and it's still only me doing the financial advising. So my God, that's a lot more clients and a lot more work, which we still do. But until I can start shelving some of the work away to other people, I'm going to have to do more work before I do less.
That's mad. That's mad.
Martin,
right.
Unbelievable.
Enough about finance stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go on to boxing again. We've got questions. We'll do that before we do a quick review and preview stuff. Ramez Mahmood. You're not allowed to answer Ian Lewison to this, by the way. Just curious, who's the most talented boxer you've had on your show? I know you've had a couple of world champions, such as Richard Comey and Ryan Burnett on, but has there been any that have stood out more, but other factors, such as lack of opportunities or laziness, have stopped them?
I would have answered Ian Lewison,
That's why I said you're not allowed to answer, Ian.
So what I'm going to do is I can't answer that. I'm going to pass it to Josh.
I would say, going back to the original days, somebody that never filled their potential was Yassine El Matchi.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Obviously, he won prize fight, so he did achieve something, but there was more that he could have done if he started a bit younger, wasn't
What
so.
happened? You know, the story behind your scene was he had a knee problem, and we knew it. He won prize fighter despite being really sick. He was so ill before prize fighter. He was puking up in between fights. He was so ill, and his knee was knackered as well, and he still won it. So what he done with the money, we'd agreed that when he won it, I'd got him a world title eliminator. We'd sorted it all out, but he had to get his knee fixed. But he went off to Monaco and blew all the money and didn't do his knee. And then came back and said, "Oh, can you give me a loan to do my knee?" After he'd blown all the money. And he never fought again because he never fixed his knee up properly. That's really sad because he could legitimately, I believe, have won a world title. He was that good.
Yeah. Maybe he was putting it all on red, trying to do both knees.
But and that's I suppose really Josh is right there. That he really had the potential to win because he was delivering in the ring, but his career was not at the pinnacle yet. And he was ranked, I think he was ranked 19 in the world by one body at the time when he never fought again.
All right. From I was only there on Twitter. What are the trophies for on the cabinet behind you? They look like trophies anyway.
Where's
I'm
that?
talking to you, Steve.
There's no trophies, is there?
No, what you got? You got a few filing cabinets, a darts board.
Oh, there's some trophies at the top. They're Josh's boxing and golf trophies. The ones up on the top. To the other side.
No wonder they're small.
Box of the Night, man, I got one, so you can be quiet. I did.
Is this like Eddie Hills?
I was tipped to be the next great thing, Martin. You don't know this, do you?
No. I am aware, obviously, I've sparred you and
I had it all, man. I had it all.
Where'd it go wrong? Were you a golfer as well?
Yes, not a good one. I used to play a lot when I was younger. I was just one of the typical golf. I can hit it miles, but when it comes to around the green, I'm absolutely useless.
Hey Jack, who's the most talented boxer you fought on the same show as? Who maybe hasn't fulfilled their potential? Same question that I had.
I've always been a really big fan of Linus and Brad. I love watching Brad fight. Just everything, like the coming out with his gladiator helmet, and obviously he's just like non-stop in the ring. Like I've always really liked watching Brad. So yeah, probably be one of them too.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching those two too. I'm with you.
Mine, or same question to you.
Most talented, John O'Donnell.
John O'Donnell.
John O'Donnell, minus the lifestyle, the injuries, like purely based on talent in the ring. He had stuff that I've seen very few boxers do at that level. It was the Eric Ocheng fight always stands out. His ability as a southpaw to hold the jab down of the opponent. Every time Ocheng jabbed, he would just pour it down and counter, which is a very simple thing to do as a southpaw, but you don't see too many of them doing it. John always stood out as he had more to give than we ever saw. You trained with him, Jack, didn't you?
Yeah. And it is true. Like he the people I see him spar, and like he was always getting the better of people, and like he was just amazing to be around, like amazing to be around and amazing to watch. And yeah, man, he was probably someone that should have been a world champion, and he never even got a British. I think he just got Commonwealth was the highest, which is still amazing, but for someone that should have achieved so much more.
Yeah, no, I always enjoyed watching John just because his toolbox was full, but he never really used it all. Right, next question. Thoughts on the Mo Pryor and Alfie Warren link up? This is from Better Q on Twitter.
Oh, good luck to them. If you feel you need to link up with somebody, good luck to you.
Fair enough. Josh, any thoughts on it?
Yes, if it produces good shows and good fights, yeah, good luck to them.
All right. Would Steve work with Dennis Hobson on his new TV network, as Dennis wants small hall shows on?
For free? No.
Is that what the offer is?
My understanding is there's no money in it.
Well, who's going to do that?
Mo Pryor's doing it, I think.
Oh, right. Okay. There's my answer. That's mental, isn't it? Like, why would somebody give their product away for free on TV?
Maybe for the long, because they believe there's something. Look, we've had this discussion so many times. It's about boxers, their ticket sales, the money they earn, and what they can generate from it. I don't know the exact model, but my understanding is there's no money in it. And if there's no money in it, and it's not on a big platform, and there's no plan, then I'm not. It wouldn't interest me. I've been off. It's easy to give away It's easy for fighters to give away their content to a company that may not have big figures for free, for somebody else's potential gain. But for me, there's got to be an end game, and the fighters have to benefit in some way. Now, I don't know for sure. I've been told that. Now, there may be that's not the case, and that Mo Pryor's boxers are going to reap rewards from this. Then it's a different angle. But my understanding is that for 12 months, it's all for free.
Let me spin it around, Jack. If you were a fighter and you were being told your fight is about to be given away for free, but you've still got to sell, I don't know, let's say 80 tickets. How are you feeling about that as a boxer?
Do you know what? It's kind of funny because most of my fights, I haven't really earned any money. So, like, really, I've always been fighting for free anyway. So, I guess if I really thought that I would go on TV and I could, like, it was going to elevate me a lot, then yeah, I'd probably do it.
Because it depends, but it depends on what TV.
Yeah.
How many viewerships, and whether you can get sponsorship on the back of fighting on that platform. There's all of these aspects. If it's free and it's a startup and there's no long-term thing out of it, you've got to understand, if you start giving people things for free, it's like, for example, Jack, if I'm buying a boxing ticket and you say to me, Steve, come and watch me, I'll give you a ticket for a tenner, right? And I give you that tenner. Next time you fight, I'm never going to want to fight for a tenner.
It's true, yeah.
And if people watching you, right, you might fight free. So let's say you've got to sell 80 tickets to break even, right? And that's all you're doing because you're fighting for free. Let's just say that. And now it's put on a platform where people can watch it at home, and you only now sell 65 tickets.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you to fight.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's get the meaningful fights in where you don't have to pay anybody to fight you.
Yeah,
You're selling for your own benefit. Let's get those fights.
That's where he's got to go now. That's where he needs to go. He's done it finish it now. We've got to get him moved on to that sort of level now. 100%.
Right, final question. There aren't many because I only remembered to do it an hour before we recorded, which is my fault. Castella King on Twitter. Does Steve have any regrets over Frank Buglioni's career ending the way that it did?
The only regrets I have let's look at it. Frank Buglioni I took from nowhere to somewhere, because let's go back over regrets. Do I have any regrets? I have regrets that Frank didn't want to go the route that I wanted to go, which I'll come to in a minute. But the way it ended was he just was susceptible to cuts and got stopped in Monaco with cuts. So I think he packed up at the right time. But if you look at it logically, we won the British title, beating Hosea Burton, when he didn't have any position. Nobody wanted to sign him. We got him signed to Eddie Hearn. We were able to pick relatively suitable defences. Craig Richards at short notice, Ricky Summers. And Frank was desperate to win the Lonsdale. We got Callum Johnson. We could have gone for a world title eliminator instead against probably some Mexican. I would much rather have gone that route, but Frank was he was so committed to wanting to win the Lonsdale belt. For me, I didn't want that fight. We did it. He lost to Callum Johnson. He wanted to have another go, and we went and fought the Chinese chap Fan Long Meng in Monaco. He got cut. He had to stop. So what regrets do I have? I can't help the fact he got cut, and I can't help the fact that he really wanted to win the Lonsdale belt and he wanted that route. So from that point of view, how can I regret something where Frank got everything he wanted plus more? He just didn't win when he wanted to win the Lonsdale belt. So I think I've done a great job. So I don't regret. And I think Frank had a good career overall. I think he did have a good career. And I thought he'd done great and he was a pleasure to deal with. So no regret. The only regret is that we didn't sidestep the Callum Johnson fight.
All right. Right, let's preview this weekend very, very quickly. Maybe the best domestic fight for British title this year. Felix Cash, Denzel Bentley. Am I over-egging it?
Yeah.
Am I?
I think Felix Cash wins it. Not comfortably, but I think he wins it.
Do you?
Yeah,
So
really
do I. So do I.
Comfortably?
It's going to be like one of those, like, if it goes to distance, it'll be like one of those 116, 112s, 111s, that type of scorecard. Not close, but far at the same time. That's my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's what I honestly believe.
My view is that I've got Linus and Brad at the same weight, right? I would rather put them both in with Denzel Bentley than I would Felix Cash.
That's fair enough. I think.
What do you think?
I'm going to turn it around. I think Bentley wins. And I think it's because, like, if they were fighting in normal times, I would probably err towards Cash. But Bentley's had two meaningful fights with Heffron.
Yeah.
In the time,
was his eye went, didn't it?
Yeah, it didn't go. Bentley punched it in.
No, but that's just bad luck. He might get caught with a good shot. Sometimes it happens. It happens sometimes.
Don't take Heffron as Cash. Heffron is one-dimensional.
Yeah, Heffron, I just don't rate him.
Forward, throw shots. He's got one style of fighting. Now he's fighting a mover, a boxer who's got it all and was a top-class amateur. So it's a different world than fighting Heffron to fighting Felix Cash. Different world. Different world.
But he went those hard rounds with Heffron. He's had that that kind of seasoning of himself.
He's not had somebody with fast hands throwing multiple punches at him and hitting him from all angles. Heffron couldn't do that.
Yeah, but Cash hasn't had a meaningful fight in his career, in my view.
I'd say the Jack Callan fight was a good result. I'd say that was.
Which one?
When he fought Jack Callan.
Nah. No, I just think Jack Cullen is more limited than Heffron. You can't dismiss Heffron, but praise Jack Cullen.
I didn't dismiss Heffron. I just think
I'm bannering you all under the Goodwin label.
We're separate, right? Close but separate. I just think there's levels in boxing. I think Felix Cash is going to be a level above Denzel Bentley. But not like I don't know for sure, but
I think it's a great fight.
It's a good fight. It's a good fight on paper, definitely. But that's my prediction. We'll find out soon, won't we?
Yeah. You got to come back next week.
Next week, Martin. I think next week we'll turn around and go Felix Cash was just that too sharp and too good.
And if he is, then fair enough. Because
call me God, all right? Because that's what I am.
If he is, then fair enough. Because that's a hard win if he gets it. And if he gets it looking great, then brilliant. We got one of these two gets elevated through victory.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fight that we need to see more of because these fights are avoided more than they happen.
Yeah. And I mean,
it's really great that Eddie and Frank have actually put one together. That's the thing. That's what's great.
What's mad? You've had Andrade Williams last weekend, and then this weekend. So you've got 2 weekends in a row where they've worked together, yet haven't managed it for years.
Did anyone actually give Liam Williams a chance in this? Because I saw quite a few people online giving us. Couldn't see it.
We didn't.
No.
I predicted Liam Williams would be punching a lot of fresh air for the entire fight.
And I predicted Andrade by wide points, didn't I, last week? So hang on.
I got grief online for saying Williams would be punching fresh air and chasing Andrade around the ring.
Exactly what happened.
Someone saying, you got to back the Brit. I don't back the Brit. I back the one that I think will win.
But he did catch him. He did hurt him. And I think it was round 9. He did really hurt him. So
he hurt him earlier on in the fight, but no one mentioned it. It was really strange.
Yeah,
I think
around 3-4 he did it as well.
yeah, he hurt him. No, the commentators ignored it. It was very odd.
It was a good performance from Liam Williams in terms of he showed incredible heart. He did a Jack Hughes. He showed incredible heart and guts and a chin and all
But
those things.
he also showed
But he
there's
was
levels.
level below.
Yeah, there's levels in boxing. He's not a true world-class fighter. That's been shown.
I still want to see him and Eubank though.
That's a really good fight.
I'm paying for that. Someone put it on.
£50 pay-per-view.
What do you reckon, Jack? And what do you reckon for this weekend with the Bentley cash fight?
I can't really have a big opinion on it because I don't really know much about Bentley. I know he beat Heffron twice, but I've followed. Well, I wouldn't say I've followed, but I've seen Cash from like his debut and early on. I've seen loads of his fights. So if I had to just pick someone, I'd say Cash because I've seen a lot more of him and I've never seen really anything of Bentley.
And I'd put it out there, Felix Cash is probably the best looking boxer in the world.
Linus will disagree. And Brad will
Linus ain't winning that. Linus ain't winning that competition. I'll tell him to his face.
Listen, Brad and Linus both think they're the best looking.
Nah.
Well, I would disagree as well.
Yeah, there you go, Jack. Yeah. What else is on this weekend? There's Callum Johnson.
Callum, I mean, it's not a great card, to be honest. If you take, I mean, the best card.
I'm okay with that.
It's the one. Listen, I think it's worth watching for the one fight. The better fights are on the Friday night in Spain.
Yeah.
Overall, but the best individual fight is on Saturday night on the Frank Warren card.
Yeah, in the same way that Dubois Joyce card had nothing else on it. I don't care. Like, give me one brilliant main event fight, and I'll give or take the rest of it. I'm not bothered.
No. I disagree. I think boxing as a product needs to have more than one good fight on a card. I think that's because I think when people tune in, say you're getting like somebody new to boxing trying to get them to watch it, and you've got bloody 20-0 versus a 9-11 from Mexico that's going to go 10 rounds. It just puts people off. It's got to be trying to be as entertaining as possible. And every fight's going to be good, but you can stack it so you get more good ones than bad ones, and that doesn't happen in boxing.
What my frustration is that the same budget goes into those Mexicans coming over against, a prospect that could go into an English title fight that would be far more entertaining.
Yeah,
that's the frustration.
Yeah, 100%.
You could get a Jack Hughes against Ricky Little fight
instead
of one of these prospects versus foreigner.
You're more likely to get a fight against a contender, a Southern area or English than any other level fight you'll get, because once you get two good, evenly matched fighters at those levels, you're going to get good fights.
Yeah. A bit like Jake Paul versus Ben Askren.
Exactly. That was a wonderful fight, wasn't it?
What's your view on it? Anyone?
I'll go.
Jack, what's your...
Do you know what? I actually think Jake Paul and Logan Paul are actually quite talented, and they get a lot of unfair shit because I think a lot of people are jealous that they can sell out, like with come into boxing with no experience and sell out places like they have been doing. Like, fair enough, they've got all the like the backing to be good. They got the millions and they can wrestle when they need to and eat the right food and so on. But people were just like saying like, oh, well, they need to fight a real fighter, which, yeah, I guess it is true. But what are they doing that's any different from what I was doing when I was having my fights? Like, I was just fighting people like most people. We fight people that don't come to win, and you just cruise through it. Okay, the people they're fighting ain't fighters, but these are fights that they're meant to be winning this early on in their career, and they're coming into the pro game with no experience. And a lot of people get blinded by the jealousy and the hate, like, oh, like I've worked my whole life and these guys just come in. Well, it's not really their fault that they can generate and sell millions and millions of tickets. So instead of like being blinded and just being harsh and wanting to attack them, like, people just need to look at it like these guys are actually genetic freaks, especially Logan Paul. And so he is an athlete. And like when he was only boxing for like what, a year, and when I see him box KSI, I was actually really impressed with him. Like, I thought he showed a lot of like really good boxing ability. So I just think people need to like chill out a little bit, you know, give them a bit of credit because they've done really well so far. And like, as I said, they're not doing anything different. Let them progress, let them train, and let's see how far they can go.
I'm with you. They've got millions of dollars of their own making, and they can use that and putting themselves in an elite training environments. It's no different to Conor Benn.
Mm.
Like, just let them see where they go. I'm all right with it. The product's an absolute fucking mess. That Triller, you know, they're smoking weed and drinking on the job, but
it's something different. Good luck to him. If it works, it works.
They're not trying to appeal to hardcore boxing fans. Good on them. They found their own lane.
But when that Ben Askren weighed in on the day before, you could see that fault he didn't take it seriously, didn't care, did he? So
yeah, more Snoop Dogg in boxing. That's what I want. More De La Hoya on the piss. Right, we've run out of time, so I'm going to say goodbye to everyone. But Jack, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me, mate.
Hopefully, we see you as soon as possible when the boxing returns. Josh, thank you very much. Continue working hard. I know you will under the watchful eye of Steve. And Steve, I'll send you details about Milton Keynes Rugby Club.
Let's go and have a look at it.